what we've been up to for the last month and a half is I just so eloquently explained to you a ton of shit has been going on.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on in both of our worlds. That's how life goes.
Yeah, this is not fun, but did I tell you I got pink eye for like a week before I flew to California. I got pink eye really, really bad in my right eye. I had to think about that for a second. And when I was in California, I was still on like the antibiotic because she was like, oh, once you have this, like you're not going to be able to give it to anybody. Just make sure like you're not wearing makeup and, you're taking good care of yourself. And so like the entire time I'm like in California, like my eye still kind of looks not great and I'm not wearing any makeup. And I didn't really wear makeup until that last day when we all went to go see Greystone Mansion. And then the following week after I got back from California, I got a sty on my right eye, like on my right eyelid.
Ew. Why are you getting all these? How'd you get pink eye? Were you around babies or something? Or were you just...
No, dude.
Someone pooped on your pillow? How does that even happen?
So here's the thing. I went to urgent care because I came down with pink eye on Saturday and the doctor's office wasn't open. And I'm like, I'm not canceling this trip. I'm going to go see my nephew. I'm going to see him. So I went in and the woman examined me and she goes, oh, this has been going around right now. She's like, there's some weird sickness happening. She's like, where people are getting colds, but they're not colds. And then by the end of the sickness, it just turns into pink eye and you look like the next person who has that case. And I was like, oh,
that's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had a gross, massive sty on my eye for like 2 weeks.
Ew,
it was horrible, dude. So I was like,
Gross.
I can't record. Like, this is disgusting.
Well, neither of us have recorded. We've both been very bad about it. But that's life. I'm expecting a child, so there's an excuse for me.
That's
You're
probably
changing
a better
jobs.
excuse.
You went and saw your nephew, had family in town, which I sadly couldn't make it to. But my wife is 7 months pregnant now, so we're in punching zone of the baby. The baby could technically come any day. That would not be ideal. It would be a premature baby, but we got to be ready. So in the next month, it's like time to buckle down, and we're right at the edge of it being unsafe for Beth to travel. And we had just gotten back from Europe and moved, as you guys can see. I don't know if we're going to keep this in, but this is a brand new studio, I guess you can say. New house that Beth and I moved into. So that's exciting. But yeah, we couldn't make it back, which was a bummer. I wish we could have seen you guys. It looked like a lot of fun. I'm so sick of not being able to make it back for the 4th of July. It's one of my favorite holidays, and back in Indiana, it's amazing. It actually was really good here, though, too. We have a roof, like a deck on our roof now. And in East LA, people love shooting off fireworks like a ton. So we just had like a panoramic fireworks show all around us. It was amazing. I cannot wait for next year. Like, it was so fun to have all the fireworks shooting on around us.
Well, next year you're also going to have a daughter to share that with, and then hopefully we'll all be able to be together. I actually forgot. Happy 4th of July, guys! It's like
Happy
July 7th.
Happy 4th of July!
Late.
Welcome back to our channel. Hopefully you're still watching at this point. But we had to go through a hiatus. It's a good time to go through a hiatus because there wasn't much Star Wars content out, frankly, other than Visions, which was at the very end of, or the very beginning of when we started our hiatus. Neither of us reacted to that. I was gone for the entire month of May, so I couldn't do it.
I watched it early. We had early screeners for that, which was lovely, courtesy of Lucasfilm. And I watched all of those, so I was like, I'm not doing reactions after I've seen all of them, because they're not going to be super fresh.
Well, why didn't you do them initially? Why didn't you just do them while you were watching them?
I didn't feel like it. If I'm going to be totally honest here, I just did not feel like it.
I heard they were really good.
Yeah, they were. There were definitely two that really stood out to me above all, but I enjoyed them a lot. It is really fun looking at all the different animation styles and seeing what the different studios choose to focus on. They had they had a cool mix of like 3D and 2D this time around, which I thought was amazing. There was one, I cannot remember what it was called for the life of me. It was so long ago. I even posted about it on my Twitter. But there was this one about this boy and this girl. The boy's a Jedi and the girl's like she has like visions through the Force. I don't know what she is, if she's like a mechanic or something. But they have to team up together to defeat this Sith Lord, and I thought that one was the best Visions episode
Yeah.
by far. Like, I would have watched a movie on that. I'm not entirely sure what the name of the episode is though. Like, let me check. Visions season 2 episodes. I really
They're all
liked
pretty
it, though.
short, aren't they? They're still like 10, 15 minutes each.
I think the longest one was the one that I loved, which was like 18 minutes. Oh, okay. It was called Journey to the Dark Head, and the description was: a hopeful mechanic and disillusioned Jedi team up for an unlikely quest to turn the tide of the war. It was really, really good, dude. Like, I would have watched an entire movie on that episode alone. Like, it had so
Really?
much depth. It was really dark too, super gritty. I was really impressed with that one. So Journey to the Dark Head, that was definitely my favorite out of all the Visions episodes. And then the other ones, Screecher's Reach was another one that was really, really good. That was done by the same studio that did the movie The Secret of Kells, which is a movie that I watched when I was in college, and we were required to study it. So that one was a really cool callback. What other ones did they have? Oh, The Spy Dancer was really good too. I think, honestly, if you're interested, Matt, you should just like put them on and just let them play one after the other. They're super short. They're bite-sized stories, but they're very,
Maybe I'll
very
do
entertaining.
it. Maybe I'll do it like the Old Republic trailers that I did, and just watch them all at once, and then break it into like 2 parts or something.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I still have to watch those. I wanted to do more reactions to Rebels. It didn't seem like many people would be that interested in it, but I'm still happy to do it if people want to do that before Ahsoka. I still need to watch that before Ahsoka comes out. I don't know how much I'll be able to get in before Ahsoka comes out in a month, but I still want to do that too. At least catch up on the essentials. And then the other couple things, I finally got a new Xbox, so I can actually play the new Jedi Survivor game, which I know I'm late to the party on that one. But if you guys have played it and you want to watch me play through it for the first time, I've been waiting. Like, I bought it a couple of days. I've had the Xbox for a week. I bought Jedi Survivor and installed it on my device a few days ago, so it's just waiting here, and I've been waiting to play it, but I didn't want to really start until maybe it was me and you, and we could at least stream some reactions to that, because that first game was like one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm really looking forward to playing this. There seemed to be some hype around that.
No, dude,
So yeah, there's a lot of
deserve-
stuff that we need to catch up on.
I deserve points, okay, dude? I fought not to watch the gameplay. I have not watched any cutscenes from Jedi Survivor. I have not watched any
I'm
gameplay.
surprised.
No.
You usually jump the gun and watch that stuff before I even have a chance to do
I
anything.
waited for you. I waited for you.
I know you did. That's what I'm
was
saying. I'm
thinking-
surprised. This is great. I'm glad you did that.
No, I waited because I figured it'd be way more fun to live stream that and then like get our genuine reactions to that as it's happening. And then we can discuss the story as it unravels. So I don't know anything. Like, I have stayed away from spoilers. I saw like 2 very, very, very minor spoilers. But I've strayed away for the most part because I wanted
Great.
to experience that with you. So
Awesome.
we're gonna
Well,
have
yeah,
to do
maybe
that.
we'll have to do that a little bit this weekend if we have some time. We'll record some of that. We've missed a lot, guys. We've missed you. We've missed recording these things. Moving is such a pain. I'll tell you what, like getting all this equipment set up here, figuring out where I'm going to record stuff, our new recording schedules with work and all that. I'm still don't know how it's going to work when the baby's here. Hopefully we'll be able to keep a consistent recording schedule. But Melissa will, nonetheless, even though she hasn't posted very much. I at least have an
sorry.
excuse of being in Europe.
Listen, I had the massive sty on my eyelid. I was not going to expose the world to that gross, disgusting sty. And I also had pink eye in the same eye. I'm rhyming a lot here. Yeah, there was a lot going on. So much has changed. But it's been busy. I mean, I think June was kind of just a craziness month. And I'm hoping like this July we can get caught back up. Also, we just haven't had much to talk about, period. I mean, we're not getting the next show until the end of August. So if we're being realistic here, it's probably more like 2 months until we actually get new Star Wars content.
Yeah, but I mean, we can still make Star Wars content as creators. Like, I still need to watch the Obi-Wan Patterson cut, which I've been meaning to do. I have it on my computer. I just need to do it and watch it. It's just
You got it.
It's just to dedicate 2 hours of my life to that, and then edit it. And it's a lot of work to do that. I got the Star Wars Survivor game, so I will be doing that. shortly, so we'll be able to see that. There has been some Star Wars news, which I guess maybe we can talk about a little bit if you want to jump in to that.
Yeah, well, I think the first bit of news.
Hold on a second. How dare you? How dare you?
How dare I? You asked me the question.
You didn't even allow us to play our amazing interstitial. All right, I guess it's not breaking news, but you can jump in now. We put work into making that. We might as well play it on the show.
There was no pause to allow for our lovely little logo, but I digress. That being said, Ray Stevenson has sadly passed away. He died at the end of May, and I think a lot of people were super shocked by the news of his death.
Yeah, he was young. He was like, what, 50-something, 60-something?
50,
like super
58
young.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I read that and I was devastated. Like, it's really horrible. I'm not even sure what happened. I don't think anybody knows what happened.
No cause of death was revealed. I remember looking into that.
Yeah, was he in Italy, like, shooting a movie or something? He was abroad.
He was in Italy. He was not home. So, thoughts and prayers go out to his family. That's horrible. Also, it's just like the show hasn't even come out yet. He was working on, I'm sure, a lot of other stuff. He was definitely on the come up. Like, he was he's one of those actors who didn't really have a huge career till later on in his life, And I feel like he was just getting bigger and bigger. And then to have that, taken away at I'd say a young age. Like 59 is not old at all.
Okay, so he was 59.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, that's super sad. Horrible news.
His character's name was Balin Scroll. Is that correct? Yeah. I think that is his character's name. It's super sad because even if you look at the trailer for Ahsoka, he really seems like he's going to be like a main character. Like a bigger deal. He's not just going to be the big baddie of the week. He's actually going to be a pretty big antagonist to Ahsoka alongside his Padawan. So to see that this is going to be his last role, his last credit is very, very bittersweet. Yeah. I was super excited about that character.
They probably had to do some rewrites, if I'm guessing. I don't know how they were ending it with him in that show, but, that's very sad to hear that. He was also in Rebels as well. What was his name in Rebels?
He was Gar Saxon, I think.
Gar Saxon, there you go. So yeah, that's very sad. Not a great way to start off Star Wars news, but I was very shocked to hear that when that came out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's horrible, horrible news, and I hope he rests in peace. And I look forward to watching his role in Ahsoka, but it's going to be a bittersweet feeling. Speaking of Ahsoka, I think that is out August
23rd.
23rd? Okay. So it is the end of August, so we probably have about roughly a little less than 2 months, but we have a date, which is super, super exciting. There were some pictures released, or at least there were higher quality stills from the show. They had a picture of Ahsoka and Sabine standing together. Which looks like it takes place at the very, very end of Rebels. And then there were a couple more pictures of Ray Stevenson and then that girl who's going to play as Padawan. I don't remember what her name is. But there was a picture of him and her.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were a couple other shots that had already been released, but they were higher quality stills. Should I pull those up, or I think
see if you can find them. I think her name was
Shin?
Shin. There you go. Shin.
Yeah. Don't those names mean like wolf or something?
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about that
classic
earlier?
Filoniism, tying in symbolism with the names wolves. Of his characters. Yeah.
Speaking of Filoni, here's a picture of him and Rosario Dawson. Let's look at this. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, that's cute, isn't it?
I like how they fixed her, what are they called, Montreals? They're a little bit longer now.
Yep, and that's what you got to do with these TV shows. It's people love to complain when trailers and stuff come out. And when the first season of a TV show comes out, or when you first see a character, they're not going to have everything perfect. It's trial and error. I don't think people realize how much work goes into these shows and the set design and costume design, and like the details do matter, but it is so hard, especially when you're dealing with a show in another dimension, another universe, galaxy far, far away,
Another
to come
dimension.
like to get it all perfect. And there's other things that go into it too, with like how do we make this work? Like there's some prosthetics and stuff that you can use for different characters' costumes that just don't work practically in the movements that they're doing, stuff like that. And so it takes some time to figure it out and get it exactly right. But that's a good call out. It does seem like they fixed that. I'm sure that makes people a lot happier. It reminds me of the Grand Inquisitor from Obi-Wan, how everyone was so mad they thought he looked so bad. And I don't think he looked the best, but I don't think he looked terrible. I was like, this is cool. Like this is a good bad guy, well cast. Maybe they could have done a little bit of a better job, but I don't know. Nitpicking on stuff like and now I'm not the one to complain about people nitpicking because I'm Captain Nitpick, but I'm not actually mad about the stuff that I nitpick on. It's just things that I notice where I'm like, this would be interesting if they did this or that. But the first thing I nitpicked on was when I watched Clone Wars or Bad Batch for the first time, and they had the first season when it was like the sirens that the police used on Coruscant.
Oh yeah.
And it was like red and blue, and it was like, ee-yaw, ee-yaw. And I'm like, does every police force evolve the exact same way where that's how they handle crime?
Yeah.
But I'm not actually mad about that. I'm not sitting here going, oh, you Star Wars not being creative enough. Anyways.
I mean, for me, it really depends on what it is. Looking back on the Inquisitor from Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm like, I think you guys could have tried a little harder,
Yeah.
I mean, and I get it. I understand there are going to be limits with like prosthetics, because if you look at the character that Obi-Wan Kenobi talks to in Revenge of the Sith as an example, the character that is the same species,
Yeah.
it just looks a lot more alien and it looks a lot more convincing.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's unrealistic to hold them to a higher standard, because this is also Disney making this and they have money to spare. So I am going to hold them to a higher expectation of like...
Yeah, I mean, Kenobi's
But
a little
again-
different, though, too, because they had so much time to make this show and to make it perfect, and
Yeah.
it is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I guess, yeah, that's a good point. But there are other things, too, with like the movement of the character, how long it takes for them to get in the prosthetics every morning for each shoot. You know what I mean? Like if it takes 10 hours for them to get this guy in prosthetics, that's a huge thing. It means you don't have much shooting time in the day. And given the shooting schedule and the set locations and stuff, it can complicate things. So maybe that's what went into it. I don't know. I will give them the benefit of the doubt on that one specifically, but there was a lot of other issues with Kenobi too, which we don't have to rehash.
I feel like the last three projects are just wrought with issues that we could talk about for hours. But again, when it comes to the prosthetics, I really think it's a character by character basis.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what you're trying to portray. I think with Ahsoka, I'm glad they fixed it, because they looked like season 1 Clone Wars when she was in The Mandalorian. Like it was like she reversed. And especially because her Rebels look is so distinctive, there is like a bit of a disconnect there. So I'm glad that they tried.
Yeah.
Although I have to ask, why don't they just CG it? If they can't like make them longer like practically, why can't you just CG them?
I don't know. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms you're opening up with that, though, too. I mean, CGing is hard, to make it look good. I mean, look at the perfect example I can use for that is Henry Cavill in Batman Superman when they CG'd his mustache off. And
that is different, though, dude. They did an integral part of the face.
Yeah.
And it was
I'm
was
just saying
borderline lazy.
I know there could be issues that come up. I also know that they were working on a really tight timeline. So I don't know. There's a million things that can go on behind the scenes. But yes, it seems like they fixed her hat, her cool little hat that she wears.
You guys have probably seen, I've been sharing some pictures, but there is one. Did you see this one? Matt, this is probably like a month old at this point.
Yes, I did. It's awesome.
Do you think that's just some rando Inquisitor?
Yes, I do. I don't think that it's going to be anyone of consequence. Star Wars tends to do this when they release initial images. It ends up being like a nobody. Or it's something that's not that crazy. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's probably just a rando Inquisitor. A lot of people are like, what if it's Barriss? I'm like, no, that's a dude.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we just end up reading into things too much. I just think it's a random Inquisitor. And I gotta be honest, I feel like this show, the Ahsoka show specifically, is really going to make or break where I'm at with Star Wars at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, like I really feel like this is going to be a lot of the, I want to say this in a nice way, but I feel like the last 3 Star Wars projects have been very, very disappointing. I feel like this is going to be the project that either sets people off and they're like, I can't anymore, I'm done. Or it's going to be like, hell yeah, Star Wars is still capable of like doing really amazing things. I'm not, like, looking back on it, I'm not super impressed with the last 3 shows. And I'm extremely apprehensive going into this one because I actually have pretty high expectations for it. And so with that in mind, I'm super nervous because I feel like it's either going to inspire or it's just going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, it could go one of two ways. I think the difference with this one, though, is that a lot of people don't know of Ahsoka. So it's not as protected of a character. Mandalorian was already established, 2 really good seasons. Moving into the 3rd one, there's a lot of hype, and it was a bit lackluster. Obi-Wan Kenobi was super high expectations. You're dealing with one of the best characters in movie cinematic history. And so super high expectations for that, and you're dealing with Darth Vader and stuff too. So it's easy to let people down. With Ahsoka, unless you're a really knowledgeable Star Wars fan or someone who appreciates Clone Wars, it's not as familiar of a character. You've seen her in Mandalorian a couple times. And so I don't think there's as much room for your average person to be like super disappointed in it. And I think the other thing with this too is you're dealing with a character, like a show that's going to have a lot of lightsabers and fighting and cool sequences. And like your average person loves that. Like I have a lot of casual Star Wars friends, casual Star Wars fan friends who they just love the lightsaber stuff and the action and all that. And like, it seems like there's going to be a lot of that in this show. It seems like it's going to be really well put together. So I think even if the show doesn't 100% hit the mark, it's still going to do well. And also you have Filoni. It's his baby. He has full creative control, I'm guessing. And
Oh God, I hope so.
I think he's going to deliver. I really, really do. And there's not much expectation from me, like as terms of where the plot's going to go. It's really open-ended, and this is a character that he created with a universe that he helped expand upon from George Lucas himself. So based on all that, I have very optimistic expectations.
I think I'm just worried about corporate meddling because in the way that I see it, the people who are going to have the biggest expectations are the Clone Wars and Rebels fans. Both
Yes.
shows I really, really loved. And so I have expectations based on my experience of both those shows because I thought the storytelling was just top notch for both. Especially the last, honestly, I would say like the last Filoni controlled project was probably season 7 of Clone Wars because Mandalorian strikes me more as a Jon Favreau show than a Dave Filoni show. I think Dave Filoni is consulted on that, but I don't think he has as much say as everybody thinks
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
I think that's more of a Jon Favreau thing. And I don't really think Filoni was super involved in season 3 because he was putting all of this attention towards Ahsoka. And honestly, in my opinion, it shows.
100%
So-
it shows. Yeah, it definitely shows. I think Jon Favreau even didn't have as much creative control as he would have liked for season 3. And we can get into my whole conspiracy about that, although I've mentioned it on the show before. But I think if it's anything Filoni's involved in, and he's been like kind of been training on the live action stuff with Favreau and for the last couple seasons of Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. So now that he gets kind of more of how that works, this is going to be his first like big project, a good test of like where things go. And I think it could be a big turning point for Star Wars because maybe they'll give him more creative control over the projects in the future, which is a really good thing. But I feel really positive about it. I think it could go great. It could also be really lackluster. And if that's the case, yeah, I might be on the same page as you where I'm like, all right, I'm approaching every other project now in a very cautious way. But
just,
I'm never
like,
going
I
to not
can't-
be a fan of Star Wars. I'm never going to not watch, like just stop watching it altogether, you know?
I'm just saying that I can feel a little bit of burnout happening. You know, with me personally, like with Star Wars, with like the last 3 projects at least. Like when I watch Revenge of the Sith, I get a very specific feeling from that movie. I love that film, and it's just like, yes, Star Wars, let's go. Same for like the original trilogy, and I haven't felt like that since I've seen season 7 of Clone Wars. So there's a really big part of me that really, really, really wants to like the Ahsoka show and really hopes that it's going to invoke those same feelings that I've had for these other Star Wars projects. And if it doesn't, it's just going to be like,
Yeah.
because I've just felt like the fire dimming.
Yeah.
Especially like with these last 3 projects. I'm like, you had all the things to do to create that feeling and you just didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little worried about how this one's going to go.
Yeah,
again,
and that's fair.
I love Dave Filoni's writing, but there's a lot of apprehension going into this one because I'm like, please guys, don't not corporate meddling. Please don't meddle.
Yeah. I don't think there will be as much because I don't think those corporate overlords really care as much about Ahsoka, to be quite honest. They just know that there's a market there because of how successful Clone Wars is and people's response to her in Mandalorian. She's a cool character. So they're like, all right, we'll test it out with this show. We'll see how things go. Filoni clearly has a vision for it. And we'll see if it's successful. We'll give him more projects and we'll give it a second season and all this. And they'll be able to tell really quickly whether or not it's a success or not. I think it will be. That's my preliminary, cautiously optimistic viewpoint.
I'm going to refrain from having any viewpoint until the thing comes out because, like I said, when in my reaction video for that first trailer that debuted about 3 months ago, I was like, going to be positive, but trying to temper the expectations.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, I think.
Trying to like wash it out right now. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to think about the show too much. When it comes here, I'm going to experience it on its own merit, but up until then, I don't really want to think too hard about how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's coming soon enough. In the meantime, we'll be hopefully discussing some more Rebels stuff. I would like to get back into more reaction videos, some Vision stuff. The last thing I wanted to talk about was pretty big piece of Star Wars news. The new trailer for Star Wars Outlaws came out. The new video game, which I'm not sure if you watched that.
Did I watch that? I think I saw something about it on social media, but I don't know that I watched it.
I'll pull it up and we can watch it now if that sounds good.
That's fine. Sounds good.
These are dangerous times.
Oh, it's the open world game.
At least that's what I hear.
Yeah.
The Empire? They're everywhere. But the world here belongs to the syndicates. If I want to survive, I
looks a
have
little
to
generic.
play their game.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm all in.
She's in here somewhere.
On second thought, I'm out.
There she is.
Some really good motion capture here.
Very good. I mean, the graphics are nuts.
Yeah, really good
I've been held back
graphics.
my whole life. And now, I just need a chance to finally be free,
The voice is a little generic.
wherever that takes me.
I agree.
I'm here to offer you a way out, okay?
Get off my ship, Jalen.
Give me a chance. You're gonna have to trust me. It'll be dangerous, risky. But if you pull this off, you'll never look over your shoulder again.
The underworld shows no mercy,
Man, this is the never-ending trailer.
Yeah, it's really long.
but it's a big galaxy out there, and I'm gonna risk it all.
So yeah, that is that. Look, I have some thoughts on this. A couple great things about it. Number one, open world Star Wars game any gamer has been telling you we've been wanting an open world Star Wars game forever. Some people might debate that Knights of the Old Republic was an open world game, but that was a long time ago. That was like mid 2000s when that came out. This is new Unreal Engine type graphics with open world Star Wars, which could be awesome. And I think there's some gameplay around here too somewhere, which I can try to pull up as well. I'm really looking forward to the fact it's open world. We're long overdue for an open world Star Wars game. However, the couple things that make me nervous about this is one, I don't think you're allowed to customize your character, which might seem like a nitpick complaint, but I don't really think it is for a video game. I think that's a big thing. With any open world video game, if you're thinking about Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout, one of those, you can customize your guy, and it's fun to have that. Obviously, there's different complications. On the other side of that coin, you also have something like Red Dead Redemption, which is an open world game, which is amazing. And you're only playing with Arthur Morgan for most of the game, or at least the first 3/4 of the game. And then you get to play as John Marston. And that works out fine. But it works out great because the story is so good behind what Red Dead is. Like the story of that character that you're playing as it's one of the best stories. I wish they'd make it into a movie or a TV show. It is so good, and not enough people talk about it, and not enough people know about the story. He's one of my favorite characters, and his character arc throughout the game is just amazing. So unless they have a really strong story though to tie you in with this character, not being able to customize it worries me a little bit, to be honest.
Okay,
and
sure.
You're right, her dialogue in here does seem a little generic.
Well, the entire trailer seemed a little generic to me. We've seen this story 80,000 times. Nothing, in my opinion, popped out to me from that trailer of being new. I mean, it's another human that teams up with a guy who's I don't know, the smuggler type. It's just, it seems super... It seems like stuff we've all seen before. And I don't know, this is good. I'm speaking of nitpicking. I'm probably going to nitpick a bit here too. But would it kill them to have an alien lead?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why having a customizable character Star Wars has so many different species and stuff. That's why it'd be so cool to have to make an alien character. This is some of the gameplay here. I'm sure it looks like it's going to be very fun.
Okay, we'll figure this out.
And just having an open world Star Wars game is cool enough, to be able to explore, go from planet to planet.
Yeah,
It'll
that
be
honestly,
awesome,
honestly,
no
that
lightsaber.
looks
It's going to be just shooting people in space. Could be really good.
No, it definitely looks cool. I think the concept looks cool. It's just as far as the story goes, and let's be honest, they didn't really reveal a ton regarding the story, but she kind of looks generic to me. The story looks like the same thing we've seen in Star Wars a million times. It just, nothing pops out at me as being new.
Yeah.
But a video game's a video game. If it's fun, great.
It depends on the story for me, honestly. You can suck me in with an open world Star Wars game. It'll be fun. I will play this, and I bet it'll be a really fun game. But what takes these games over the line is the story. Mm-hmm. That's what keeps you coming back and playing over and over again. I've played Red Dead a bunch of times because the story's so good and the cutscenes are amazing. And I still think you should watch it, by the way. I still think you'd really, really enjoy it. And you might even become obsessed with it because it's so well done. But with this one, it's the stories of the arc of your character throughout the game is what makes it amazing. And Oblivion, that's a classic open world game, one of the best ever, and it's there's tons of memes about it now because of how glitchy the NPCs were and stuff like that, which I also that adds so much charm to the game. That storyline's really good. It's very similar to Fallout. I think there's a couple good storylines in a couple of the Fallout ones, but just the overall premise of it, which is this weird post-apocalyptic world where nuclear bombs went off in the 50s and it's stuck in that 50s time period. That's just a cool weird storyline to start out with. And with this one, it's you're right, there's a lot of the generic Star Wars stuff, so I'll be interested to see how, what her journey is and how it is. Maybe you can switch between characters, I don't know, but I will definitely play this game. I think it looks fun. I think it looks artistically very impressive. The motion capture they've done.
Yeah, the motion capture was great. The effects.
Yeah.
Those looked really, really good. I'll be interested to see how that turns out. Maybe that's another thing that we can end up streaming and going through the story. But I think you're right. I think the story's going to make or break it. It's just at the forefront. If you're just looking at it from a distance, it doesn't look like anything new from what we've already seen. And it could prove me wrong, and I'm open to it proving me wrong. Please prove me wrong. But I guess we're going to have to find out.
It's going to come to the gameplay, honestly. And I know you're not a gamer by any means, but I think that's maybe where our opinions differ. Is like I'm going to be like, look, it's going to be a fun game to play. I'm definitely going to buy it.
It depends on how the cutscenes go.
True. The cutscenes could be a little cringy. I don't know. But an open world Star Wars game, first of all, it came out of nowhere. They just dropped the trailer randomly, like a month
they
ago,
did.
which is cool, and it's long overdue. Like I'm glad we get it. I think wasn't there another one that they had, a bounty hunter game? I know they were making an open world game a couple of years back, and then it got canceled because
13?
I don't know, but I know there was one that got canceled a couple of years back because of the studio switch and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm happy to see this is a thing. You know what I mean?
It was called, for sure. It was called Star Wars 1313.
And hey, dude, at least it would be fun if you had there was lightsabers and stuff, but we already have that with Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. That's great. It's kind of open world. That'll make it interesting. You know, you're not relying on the Jedi portion of things too much. So maybe it's more of like a bounty hunter focused game with the crime syndicates, and we see the Pikes in here and stuff like that too. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch you play it. But yeah, I think you brought up some good points. I think it's all just going to come down to the story and how it goes. Like how much of an impression it's going to leave, like the attachment that you make to the characters and so on and so forth. But I did not watch that trailer, so thank you for bringing that to my attention, although I did briefly see something about it in passing. So, glad we got to watch that. What else do we have?
Yeah.
I made like a little list.
Yeah.
Well, we already heard about that.
I mean, there was another thing, the new Star Wars Jedi Order movie with Daisy Ridley is now confirmed. It's going to start filming next year, I think.
I'm sorry. I just
But that's coming up too.
I don't know what they expect from that. Why is this happening? They keep trying to. They keep trying to like Daisy Ridley as Rey. You have to like Rey. Like Rey. Rey's really cool. Like Rey. You have to like Rey. And it's like, guys, can we chill out here? I don't know, dude. Look, whatever. It's fine. They can do whatever they want, but I cannot say I will be eagerly waiting in line to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
If it even happens too, I don't even trust that they're going to start filming this.
Isn't that always the question though? If this even happens.
I know, it really is. Also, there's that other Star Wars game. Sorry to back up real quick, which I wanted to piggyback off this last one. Wasn't there another Star Wars game that was announced? Star Wars Eclipse or something?
Oh yeah, that was super controversial. It got I don't think they canceled it, but there was a ton of controversy behind it. I'm not even entirely sure, so I don't want to dive into it. But yeah, there were problems with that apparently. Yeah. I don't even know if that's still coming out.
Well, they're saying maybe 2026. Okay, great. Announce it later. I'm not interested until it's coming soon. So they released a big cinematic trailer for it with no gameplay, no nothing. But it's okay, thanks. I guess I have to wait another 3 years for this thing.
It's just we're constantly stuck in the train of let's announce projects and then we're going to cancel them months later. So that's a good point. I mean, in regards to the Daisy Ridley movie, they're we're going to start shooting for it next April. I'm like, okay, well, once there's a trailer for it, then I'll believe it's happening. But up until then, it doesn't exist. So I guess we'll find out with that. But yeah, it's whatever. I mean, I still think it's way too soon after the sequel trilogy finished. I mean, that just got done. And already they're announcing another movie
to a mixed review to begin with.
Yep. Yep.
Not super stoked on that. I guess the only thing I'm really stoked for is Ahsoka. I'm excited to watch the Patterson cut. I'm dying to watch that. And I'm excited to play Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's the next thing, which, by the way, maybe we can record a little bit later today, at least the first level or something. But that's it for Star Wars news. Catching up. It's good to be back, I guess, Good to see all crazy life changes. There's only going to be more crazy ones coming up in the future. So I'm glad we could take the time to actually post something.
Post something, get something on the channel after being dead. I think the only video I posted was that TuckTales reaction, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't watched that trailer yet for TuckTales, it is amazing. It is a fan-made film. It is absolutely incredible. I did a reaction to it. It is the last video that we posted on the channel. Mind-blowing stuff. Like, it looks like professional, like Lucasfilm Animation created it. So I highly recommend you guys go and check that out because it blew my mind. And the people who worked on it are so talented, and you can really feel their passion for Star Wars in that project. So please go check that out. Yeah, I don't anything else Star Wars news wise? I mean, I guess we kind of
I think that's it. I mean, we gave the general. Just guys, stay tuned. Short episode today, but stay tuned for more content coming from us soon. It's good to be back. I'm all moved in, ready to go, ready to keep recording. Hopefully we can stay consistent the closer we get to the baby getting here. So we will see. But we're back, and I think that's all that matters for the time being. Thanks for sticking with us, and hopefully we'll have a really good second half of 2023. I can't believe we're already halfway through the year, over halfway through the year. But a lot of good stuff to come in the future from our side. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Please don't forget, like, subscribe. Check out our merch store. I know we've been saying we're going to update that, but now we actually will. It's just been a hectic last couple weeks, months. But go check those out. T-shirts, pins, hoodies, cups, stickers, all that fun stuff helps support the channel. And let us know if there's anything you guys would like to see from us. Also, we got to do, maybe I'll do a Visions reaction too. I don't know. There's lots of stuff that we can do that we'll be putting out in the coming weeks. It's a matter of prioritizing. So thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next time on another Star Wars podcast. Please click like, subscribe as well if you haven't done that. And let's keep growing the channel. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you guys later.